interesting stories this week in the world of college football, Ted. Let's start
Yes.
here. According to CBS Sports, the SEC is going to implement mandatory injury reporting. Remember, the Big Ten started doing this last year. What do you think, Ted? What's your initial reaction? Big deal, not a big deal, like it, not like it?
I've kind of gone around and around on this thing. At first, I was like, okay, cool. Maybe we'll get some better information on what's going to happen. But I don't necessarily think you are. You may get an official ruling on a guy. What, 90 minutes out? Do you know exactly what the
The Big Ten rule is an official injury report 2 hours before kickoff.
2 hours? Okay.
I No one knows if that's what the SEC is planning on doing. And I, for one, think an injury report that you get 2 hours before kickoff is worthless. It's
Yeah.
not worthless. I get this whole thing, the conversations around sports gambling.
Yeah.
I understand that but they keep bringing up this thing like, oh, if we do an injury report, then people will not try to get as much information from players, coaches, staff members. Yeah, they will. What? They're still going to ask if they know they're only going to get it 2 hours before the game. They're going to try to get it as early as possible so that they could get the best odds on whatever bet they want to make. Like that's not going to change. So I wonder if the SEC is going to could they implement a more like NFL style system? That would make the most sense to me.
Yeah. I I don't know. I guess it's going to be. I guess it's a little more beneficial for coaches. If you have a guy that you thought was going to play, and it turns out 2 hours before that he's not. I mean that can change a game plan quite a bit instead of learning it on the fly. First series comes up, he's not in, but is he going to come back in? Like, is he? You never know. But if someone's like declared out, I mean, that can change how you call some stuff. But honestly, it's taken me a long time, but I I kind of like the dumb stuff of college football to some degree. Like the fact that you don't know who's going to play, and he's still standing over there on the sideline with his helmet, and oh, is he coming in? Or some of that stuff is what gives college football its charm to some degree, I guess.
As a guy that had to warm up before a game that he knew he was not going to play in because of a concussion the previous week in college, it is. Come on. I mean, some of it is silly. It's just
Yeah.
silly. But I kind of think I know what you're saying. Like some of the shenanigans of college football is what makes college football college football. It sounds like this is happening. I just don't know what the system is going to be. It's interesting because Brian Kelly, I remember watching some of LSU stuff last season. Like he would give an injury update on Monday and then another one on Thursday. And no one was requiring them to do that. They just decided, hey, this is what we want to do. So I'm just interested in what the system is going to be. And all that really matters is that it's equal for everyone in the SEC. That's all that really matters. As long as you don't have no one's at a competitive disadvantage, then I got no problems with it. Now, maybe the most interesting part is what happens if someone fudges their injury report? Because you do
Yeah.
that in the NFL and there are consequences.
Big fine. Yeah. I don't know. Um, when in doubt, have the Belichick injury report system where the entire team is listed on anyone that's even walked past the training room is on the injury report and doubtful, or what is it,
Tom Brady was on the
questionable.
injury report every week for eternity.
Yeah, questionable. We'll see if anyone is going to show up and play this week. Now, if they really wanted to make the playing field level, they do what the NFL does with your active roster, your game day roster. But again, I don't want them to do that.
There is part of me that's like, these guys are making money now. Just treat them like professionals. Here's your
Yeah.
here's your new injury report system. Everyone's going to know whether you practiced or not every single day. Were you a full participant? Were you a partial participant? Did you not participate? Do you get the old DNP? Did not participate. I
Yeah.
whatever system they use, I don't think it's going to be. I really don't think this is going to be a big deal at all. It just is. It's just something new, something different, something that
Well,
affects Oklahoma. That's why we're talking about.
I'll say this. Like, there's going to continually be a trickle of stuff like this. And it's all gearing up for the big, you know, opt in of the top tier of college football where it's pay for play. I mean, that's what's going to happen here. And it's going to be injury report stuff. And yeah, in the off season, we're probably going to start making tweaks and stuff to transfer portal and all of that. And eventually there's going to be like that new tier of college football where schools have an opportunity to opt into it or opt out. And like it's going to be NFL light.
I do wonder when you look at the SEC now, they have one broadcast partner. It's the SEC and ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a conspiracy theory or not, but I wonder how much the broadcast partner, now that they own ESPN Bet, how much influence they had in their being an SEC injury report. Because I know this, they own a betting company now. They also, and OU is guilty of this under Lincoln Riley. Like ESPN has been burned by some of those situations where they do features on guys leading into a game, and then those guys end up not playing in the football game. And I can tell you, when OU did that with CD Lamb, I can tell you there were a lot of people at ESPN that were absolutely furious about that whole situation.
Well, that's the other thing too, is like how does a like an off the field issue, because right now you don't know, is he going to miss the first half, is he going to miss the first series, is he suspended for the first game, like a lot of that stuff you don't know. And
Is being a dumb college kid considered an injury? Bad
I don't
decision
know.
making is
Well,
bad decision making. Does that make the injury report?
how do you label it if a guy's not going to play in the first half or something?
If it's injury related, he goes on the injury report.
If it's not, it's just
If it's dumbassery, then I don't.
questionable.
Yeah,
He's questionable.
questionable. I don't know. Do you put him on there?
I don't know. It's interesting.
We'll see what comes of this, but I would assume it's only going to be required when SEC teams are playing other SEC teams. That's that's my
Yeah.
assumption, because you certainly don't want to be putting out an injury report when your opponent isn't putting it out.
Yeah.
So non-conference, I could be wrong. We'll see, but yeah, it seems like that's going to happen, and it's going to be interesting to see what the system looks like that the SEC is going to implement.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll. I It doesn't affect me at all. I guess I like it, but like I said, like some of the quirks of college football is what gives it its charm to a certain degree.
What would Jaden Gibson be on the injury report right now?
Questionable.
Questionable. We haven't asked people. If you've listened to this podcast long enough, you know we don't go down that road. It's not what we do. A guy that would be listed as out for the season. Texas running back CJ Baxter, season-ending knee injury in practice. Ted, this was a guy who's going to be their starting running back. I thought he looked really good once Jonathan Brooks went down a season ago as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a guy he looks exactly how you want him to look at running back.
Mm-hmm.
6'1, 220 pounds, can catch the football, elusive, but finishes with power. Like he is a really, really good running back with an extremely bright future. And all of a sudden, he's out for the season. You look at that running back room for the Texas Longhorns, and it's not full of a bunch of experience. They've got Jaden Blue, who's played some football for him, and then a bunch of guys that haven't played in any college football for Texas. So all of a sudden, you look at that situation, and it feels like Texas is one other injury away in the running back room for being in a bad situation at that position,
Yeah.
which
And
is
I
crazy
think,
because they have recruited really, really well at that position.
yeah,
It just is. I mean, you lose your starting running back in college football. Doesn't matter how well you've recruited. Really, like there's very few teams that are 4 or 5 running backs deep.
yeah. And I think Ewers needs a really good running game to back him up. I think it helps their offense out a lot, which is, it's no different necessarily than anyone else. But yeah, that's a tough one. And you're right. He is big and he is physical. Um, and you just I don't think you get anywhere close to the same punch with Blue. Now, I'm sure he's better in some different areas. And Sarkeesian's really good at playing to different guys' strengths and building offense around those guys. But I know if I was playing against Texas, I would be pointing at Blue as the running back I'd want to face. I mean,
I mean, he's
just
20 pounds lighter,
yeah,
20 pounds lighter than Baxter. Now he's got speed. He's an
yeah.
elusive guy. Like he's a talented player, but you talk about it all the time. You line those two dudes up in the backfield, you're going, please give the ball to Jaden Blue and not to CJ Baxter.
First quarter doesn't matter. Second quarter doesn't matter. Third quarter, it's like I'd really like to see Blue be in the game a little bit more. In the fourth quarter, it's like, dear God, please put the small guy in.
I I'm interested in what Sarkeesian like. Does he need to make some changes to what he wants to do offensively? They've got a couple of talented freshmen. Maybe one of those guys emerges like Baxter did a year ago, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Sarkeesian adjusts to different personnel.
Well, here's the thing. This isn't 100%, but it's really close to it. Freshman, really good at running the ball, really bad at blocking. And whenever those are the guys that you're forced to use offensively, the defense notices that. The freshman's in, high likelihood they're handing this pill off. They're not going to put him in a position where he's going to have to protect a whole heck of a lot. Sometimes it's unavoidable. I get that, but I mean, you can use that information to your advantage defensively.
I I think it's something that is going to be very interesting to monitor throughout the season. I don't know. I mean Baxter was preseason second team all SEC. Like the expectations for that guy were very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a lot to do with a lot of people thinking that that offense for Texas is going to be really, really good with all the players they have back along the offensive line, with Ewers back. But yeah, man, I saw that, and it feels like a big blow for that football team. And I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out. Steve Sarkisian undoubtedly he's going to have some plays designed for the other guys, right? He's one of the best
Yeah.
offensive minds in college football, but losing your starting running back before the season even starts, that sucks, man.
Well, okay, like and it also matters. For example, for us, we talked about some of the things we're going through offensively right now. Well, it's a nice little benefit that we have three non-conference games in a row that I'm not saying that we can just show up and win the game, but we will be a very heavy favorite in those three games. Week 2 of the season, Texas going on the road to play at Michigan. And that is a place where you would like to have a 220-pound running back. That
And
is
some of the defensive linemen they've got,
oh my
yeah.
God, that front seven is
Ooh.
tough as nails. So, I mean, that is one that's going to affect them right out of the gate.
And Texas fans know better than anyone, and OU fans certainly know. There are some short yardage and goal line situations for Texas last year. Things did not go particularly well.
Yeah.
And it'd be awfully nice. I'm sure that was a big point of emphasis in the offseason for Steve Sarkisian and his staff. Like, we got to get better at short yardage. We got to finish drives. We got to convert on 4th down. And I'm sure they envisioned handing it to Baxter every time in those situations.
Yeah, we don't have to practice that as much. We're good this year. Yeah.
I,
That's
college is not like the NFL, in my opinion. Like the running back position still matters.
mm-hmm.
I feel like the running back position in college football matters more, or I put more value on it than maybe I do the running back position in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to run the RPO stuff on the goal line. The big bailout for everyone.
It
It's
all comes back to our hate for RPOs.
well, I mean,
Make
that's
make the rules in the NFL and college football the same, please. A legal man downfield is 1 yard, and we don't have to watch all the RPO stuff anymore. Please.
which
I don't have to
at
watch
the
an inside
scrimmage,
backer being blocked with where there's a slant being thrown behind him. Actually, I do love those because I said every single one I see to Teddy.
I wanted to scream at the officials during the scrimmage. There was the time it happened. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I know that they've got a lot of talent, and Sarkeesian's really good at finding the best ways to build his offense around his guys. So they're gonna have to find a solution really quickly.
Week two's coming for
Yep.
that football team. And their opponent just can't stay out of the news.
Yes.
What's the best way to put it, Ted? Michigan and the NCAA appear to hate each other. So
Yeah.
last week you had the NCAA announcing the 4-year show cause for Jim Harbaugh, which basically bans him from college football for the next 4 years. And now that goes back to the recruiting violations, the stuff during COVID, the cheeseburger story, all of that, him lying to the NCAA or allegedly lying to the NCAA. This is not the Connor Stallions thing. So there's that. Then you've got Sharon Moore, the new head coach. Hey, Boomer Sooner, Sharon, let's go, man. Rooting for you. But it comes out that he's got deleted text messages with Connor Stallions. We'll see what all comes of that. So you would think with all of this going on, and especially they're coming off a national championship, nothing they could possibly say or do would send a better message to the NCAA than going and winning the national title. And they went and did it. So you would think, maybe they'll lay low, they'll chill out. No, Ward Manuel, their athletic director, comes out on a podcast and says, Oh, by the way, we're going to bring Harbaugh back to be an honorary captain for their opener against Fresno State. I mean, they do not care about anything the NCAA says. And I won't lie, I kind of love the boldness.
Yeah, I did
Oh, you
too.
want to suspend our old coach? You're looking into suspending our new coach. Oh, we're just going to bring the old guy back, let him walk out for the coin toss for everyone to see. Just a giant middle finger to your association.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: it's like unless you got a different read on it than I do, they don't have anything on Harbaugh other than he wouldn't cooperate with the investigation. Like they wanted him to review what was it like 6,000 emails and all these text messages and all these call logs, and they're like, no, not going to review them, not going to go through them, not going to give them to you. We're moving on. So part of me is like, yes, that's how you handle the NCAA, but I don't know. It's just it looks like the NCAA wants to be the annoying housefly that just won't get off the food, but you're not going to cancel the picnic. You know, you're just gonna roll on with it.
Michigan versus the NCAA has become one of the more entertaining things for me in college athletics.
It
It's
reminds me of
it's a fun back and forth.
you remember my cousin Vinny whenever the guy in the pool hall is wanting to fight him the whole time, and he keeps telling him, "No, go get the money. That's just a 20, wrapped with a bunch of ones. You get the money, then we'll fight." So I feel like that's the conversation right now. NCAA wants a fight with Michigan, and they're just like, no, not happening.
I that or they're just taking the NCAA like stuffing them in a locker. That's kind of how it feels. I
Well, the direct punch is coming from Joe Pesci.
the well done, sir. I I do wonder what the NFL thinks about all this. And they rarely meddle in college football affairs. They've done it some, right? But the NFL has the best minor league system imaginable. All of these college football players go out and play. The NFL doesn't have to pay them a dime. They get to evaluate all of these people. All these schools are pumping incredible amounts of money into these guys and developing them physically. The NFL doesn't have to do anything.
And developing the star power so people
Yeah,
watch
they
them whenever
they
they go
turn
on.
these guys into brands, then these guys bring their brand to your organization. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
the NFL's got a great gig going with college football. So I do wonder if Roger Goodell kind of looks at Jim Harbaugh and hey, he goes, Jim, could you just chill out with this, man? Like, could you not go out for the coin toss for the opener? Like, could you just focus on the Chargers and just
I,
leave that in the past? Like, it just constantly keeps coming up again and again and again.
he's got the show cause, and next it's going to be like a ceremonial calling of the first play. Where he's got a headset on over there. Is he coaching? Is he not coaching? What's actually happening there?
It's, it is the it continues to develop. It feels like new layers are getting added each and every time I read something about the NCAA Michigan, and it's only getting more entertaining. So I'm not going to rule anything out when it comes to Harbaugh and him not wanting to cooperate with the NCAA at all. So I'm not really getting anything out. This ceremonial first play call. That's so good.
The NCAA, they want those damn computer logs so bad that they don't know what to do with themselves until they get them, right? We need to know. Everyone has always bowed to our every demand, handed over all kinds of stuff forever. And we still punished them because we could, but having that power over everyone was it I think they really enjoyed it. And now they don't have it. They don't know what to do.
Michigan is we'll continue to monitor the developments because they will undoubtedly continue to be very entertaining for me.
Yeah. How much do you think the Oklahoma State basketball situation affected how schools dealt with the NCAA? Because I don't feel like anyone has given them anything since that's happened.
Well, it was the North Carolina situation, remember? Do you remember that with the fake class? That was North Carolina, wasn't it? I
Yeah.
think that was North Carolina basketball. I think they fought it like hell and nothing ended up happening to them. The Kansas situation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they made a massive mistake. And I said it when they did
That's
it.
right.
I told Mike Boynton on the radio, do not comply with the NCAA.
Yeah. I it's like everyone finally, yeah, you point out a handful of those cases. It's like, no, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it and draw it out and draw it out. Eventually, all of like when something initially happens, all of the other fan bases are like, oh, yeah, you guys are going down. But like if you just delay and delay and delay, everyone moves on to other things. The pressure's gone.
Fascinating.